Hello and welcome back to The Villains. On today's episode, we're going to have a tactical, in-depth look at Newcastle United and Aston Villa ahead of our huge game at 5:30 on Saturday. A big Champions League qualification six-pointer at this part of the season. But first of all, I want to sort of congratulate Newcastle on their League Cup victory. Absolutely fantastic for their football club. And just like Villa, two teams that are trying to compete at the top end of the Premier League, trying to break into that sort of so-called Big Six narrative. Both got PSR hanging over them, around them, been working and dealing with it. So, you know, I fully respect Newcastle as a club because they are trying to compete just as much as we are on every single level, on the pitch, off the pitch, and the media trying to sell your best players. I'm sick of hearing about Isak leaving and this club buying him, etc. And I think it must be really frustrating to be a Newcastle United fan hearing that, but it looks like he's there to stay, and so he should, because of a club that are doing really, really well. So it is a huge game at the weekend, and again, I'm looking forward to. Aston Villa has become a fortress now. Very difficult for any team to go there and win. We saw that with the PSG game as well. So it's a game that I'm really looking forward to. So if you are new to my channel, Newcastle or Villa, hit that subscribe button, smash the likes, get involved in the comment section down below, and enjoy the show. Up the Villa. So here we have Newcastle United over the course of the last three games, their average positions. We're going to break down their team a little bit. We're going to show you how it works. We're going to show you the big parts to it, what makes it tick, how does it work, what type of team are they. So they are a 4-3-3 side. They play 4-3-3. It's not hybrid, really. It's a very generic 4-3-3, but the hub, the heartbeat, the engine room is in there with those three central midfield players. You've got Joelinton, Tonali and Gomes. This player's not too bad. He's not too bad up top. He's quite good. He's very good, to be fair. And then we've got four at the back, three in midfield, and then two wingers as well. So the system is Livramento, who has been playing on the right-hand side. Hall's injured, so he's moved to the left, doing fantastically well. Very, very good player. Really like watching him play. We've got Burn, Shaw and Trippier. We've got Tonali, Gomes and Joelinton, Harvey Barnes, Isak and Jacob Murphy. Now, how this team moves around is what you'll find is there'll be width from both sides. Fullbacks can get forward. Trippier can get forward, stays at home. He uses his vision really a lot of the time with, you know, with the way he's got his technique, so he can deliver from deep, etc. Livramento is up and down, offering a lot of options down that left-hand side especially. And what you'll find is that when Livramento goes forward, you'll get the wide player that will invert slightly. He'll operate inside this area. That's why his average position is inside that area anyway. Isak is able to drop deep, link play, brilliant touch. He can literally play anywhere. Like, his touch is great if he has to go to the byline. Anywhere Isak gets that ball is sensational. And the big thing that I like about Isak, and when you're looking at top level strikers, is what do they do? Well, he doesn't just score goals. You can say, okay, we want Isak away from the goal, which you're thinking, okay, he's not a threat there. But he's just as much as a threat in here when he's then got runners that can run off him and midfielders that can break through the lines as well. So setting those traps is very difficult to deal with. But the left back will go forward. The two defenders are pretty solid. We'll give him a goalkeeper as well. So that's how their system is. You can get runners that can run from deep, run from the opposite side, back post runners as well, especially. So this is their system, but this for me is the heartbeat. This is where they are very, very strong. They are so good. There's power, there's passion, there's a bit of everything in there. There's players that can defend, there's players that can sit a bit deeper, and then you can get those runners going through as well. So, but it's also rotations. So often what you'll see is you might see Gomes over there, and then one of them knows that then they have to move around like that. So It's not sort of like a stay-at-home midfield where everybody just stays at home, stays in their positions. They are happy to rotate. They are happy to move around, and this player can go, that player can drop. So on the European stage, I'd probably say Juventus are quite similar. What we saw at Villa Park in the Champions League, the three in midfield with Locatelli, he's that sort of engine room, and it rotates, it moves around, it can be asymmetric at times. So this midfield is very good, and it sort of encapsulates everything that Newcastle United are, power, physicality, runners, but also quality in there as well. There's ball carriers, there's dribblers. Tonali can dribble with the ball as well. So their team is very, very good. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a little look at their team. We're just going to break down some of the things that I've spotted with what they do. I've already alluded to what they actually do really well in this type of build upon that left-hand side. So you'll see Livramento going forward. You can see with the triangle in midfield, that triangle is always there working together. And you can also see with the yellow circle of Harvey Barnes inverting into that sort of like central space that it opens the pitch up for Livramento. Barnes is able to drag a player, and then it opens up and gives that more freedom for Livramento. The big thing about Newcastle as well is overloads on both sides. So if you've got a winger and a fullback that's going to be attacking an opposition fullback, you've already got that overload through there as well. So having heavy overloads on both sides causes a lot of problems, because then you're going to have a player that can come in and either double up and stop that from happening through there as well. So that's what Newcastle United tend to attack like as well. They'll attack with these players. They can stay high and wide as well. On transitions, they're very good, but they can also move around and link up, and then one of these midfielders can go inside as well. So what you'll find from the midfielders is the areas that I think they are very, very strong. So we can see from the heat maps that Guimaraes generally operates inside this area. You can see his heat map is very heavy on that sort of that right-hand side. And you can see that he then does drift around and does move, and there are sparse patches over on this side as well, and that shows that flexibility of being able to move across. We've got Jolinton, who operates on the opposite side, so he operates more on that left-hand side, but obviously he does his defensive work and can cover on the opposite side as well. And Sandro Tonali, one of my favourite midfielders to watch in the Premier League. I think you, as a football fan who is passionate about my own club, it's okay to enjoy watching other players and seeing how they play. And I love football tactics, so I'm always watching for players on their movement. But Tonali is absolutely class. He's got power. He's got this new role at Newcastle where he sits and operates a little bit deeper, but then he can go further forward. I mean, you look at this heat map and he's absolutely everywhere. And he can dribble with the ball, and he's got power. And when he starts running and he starts motoring, he's like an Italian stallion. You can't stop him. He's just so powerful. And we saw that against Manchester United, that, the impact that Tonali's having. And, he can even score goals from the edge of the box. He can score goals from over there, from obscure angles as well. And he did say it was a cross, didn't he? So, he's kind of said it was more of a cross than a shot, but you put it into an area and anything can happen, can't it? So, yeah, so that's a bit of Tonali as well. So, other options for Newcastle is that they have the ability to go man for man, which suits their system as well. It suits the way that they play. Their high intensity, their high pressing, that pressing nature really sort of suits Newcastle's core values and the general makeup of their team. Again, you can see on the screen that this was against Manchester United. They went man for man, and the keeper made a massive error. So putting that pressure on the opposition is something that Newcastle do. Tonali as well, he's picking up some really good positions now on the screen. You can see the shaded space, but you can also see the area that he's picking up unmarked. You cannot allow a player of Tonali that amount of time and space on the edge of the box. And I think this is going to be a really good battle. I think there's two teams that are just two very, very good teams in the Premier League that will be going toe-to-toe. I think both teams have got very, very good players. It's not a case of, their players are better than ours. I mean, Newcastle fans would probably argue that they are, but, both teams have got good players, whatever way you look at it. And Tonali, he's having his best Premier League season, I think. And I think his stats don't quite match where he's at the minute. I think some of his numbers aren't as good as probably what you'd expect them to be. But I think the role that he does in this team and the clutch moments that he has, he can step up, and they are an actual team. They're not a one-man team. Everybody plays their part. We can see that he's getting off 1.22 shots per 90, shot creating actions 2.12, passes attempted 49.41, and pass completion at 82.9%, progressive passes 4.01, progressive carries 1.35, touches in the attacking penalty area 1.53. So Sandro Tonali is doing really well. You can see that his form at the minute is very, very good as well. We got against West Ham 7.4, 7.6, 7.0, 7.6. So he's starting to get there. He's just below that 7 mark on SofaScore that I like to say is a very, very good season. But you can see from his heat map that he's absolutely everywhere, and he's only going to get better and better. And you know, this midfield with Tonali and Gomes cost around 90 million. So they did spend good money to make this midfield, and it's now starting to flourish. But, you know, touching on Villa's midfield with Yuri Tielemans, he's currently ranked inside the top 10 Premier League players on SofaScore. So far this season, he's currently sitting in 8th place, and you know, he's the highest rated central midfielder in the Premier League currently. So, you know, we've got a very good midfielder ourselves. You can see from his form recently, 7.9, 6.7 and 8 against Forest and 8.5 against Southampton. So far this season, he's got a rating of 7.38. You can see from his heat map, a little bit different to Tonali, but he operates more on this left-hand side for Aston Villa. Started to add goals to his game now, and he's just been an under-the-radar player. I think anyone that watches football, you know, really needs to start to get away from just looking at goals and assists. I think that's something that has happened in football recently, that you look at, what's his goals and assists? Oh, they're not that great. He's not doing that well. But when you actually look at the player with the eye test and what he actually does for a team, and you start looking at the system of a player and how he operates within that system and how he can get that team to tick, then you start to realise how good of a player he is as well. And that's something that I would say about Sandro Tonali as well. If you look at goals and assists, you're not going to see much, but you've got to look beneath that. And I think that's something that we need to see more of in football as well. So hopefully on this channel, that's what I can bring to it as well. But Tielemans, heat map against Southampton, absolutely quality. You know, really attacking, offensive, and can play a number of ways for Villa. You look at his stats per 90, shots 1.14, shot creating actions 3.11, passes attempted 60.83, pass completion 82.8, progressive passes 6.52 per 90, and then we've got successful take-ons 0.84, tackles 2.36. So a player that's like doing really, really well for Aston Villa. What we're going to do now is we're going to number crunch a little bit, and we'll have a look at some numbers. Just get me brew. We'll have a look at some numbers, and we'll compare both teams' seasons combined then on some of these metrics that I've got on my iPad, and we'll put it on screen, and you can all have a look as well. Right. So Isak, not bad, is he? Not bad. One of my favourite strikers in European football. I've touched on what he's good at. He's class. Absolutely class. You can see he's played 28 games this season in the Premier League, scored 20 goals, XG of 16.63, so he's overperforming on his XG, which is what you'd expect from a striker like Isak. His shot conversion rate percentage is at 25.97, but that's not the highest in the Premier League. We've got Chris Wood with 33.96. He's got the highest in the Premier League. We've got some other numbers to look at to compare the two teams. So touches in the box, Newcastle 908, Villa 870. We've been offside 48 times. They've been offside 63. They've had 4 penalties and scored 3, and we've had 5 and scored 2. That was Asensio. Asensio ruined that for us. Touches in the box, Newcastle 29.29, Villa 27.19, that's per 90 as well. And we've got offsides 2.03 for Newcastle and 1.50 for Aston Villa. Goals, we're averaging 1.53 and Newcastle are at 1.81. They've got an XG of 1.71 and Villa's is at 1.53, which is bang on. So that shows per 90 the XG of how many goals that we're generally scoring both sides. Goals conceded, Newcastle are at 40 and Villa are at 46. Newcastle have conceded 3 more than what the XG would say, and Villa have conceded 3 more as well. So both sides pretty similar in that sense. Interesting, you can pick up a little bit on what Newcastle style's like with their forward passes. They're at 34.40, and that's quite high really when you're looking at the percentage of passes over the course of what Newcastle are operating. Villa are at 29.44, so it shows that direct nature with Newcastle, that the majority of their passes go forward. So it's about finding those players quickly, moving up the gears, moving up the pitch as quick as you can. So that's sort of highlights really. We've got sideways, we've got to the left, Villa at 27.19, Newcastle 25.23. We've got backwards, Villa at 15.65, Newcastle at 14.73. So we have got Villa top of the table, guys. Top of the league. In goals scored from set pieces, Villa have got 14. Newcastle have got 7. You'd expect Newcastle to be a bit higher than that with their height and physicality. And then goals conceded, Newcastle have conceded 8 and Villa have conceded 6. So Villa very good on set pieces. So where Newcastle, and the major weakness for me that I've highlighted for a Villa point of view, is in behind this midfield. You can see on the screen now that Manchester United were able to bypass this midfield three, get behind it, and then you're looking at green grass and exposing a back 3 or a back 4. That is the area that I think is a weakness for Newcastle, and it's an area that Villa like to get in quite a lot. Quick forward passes in behind the midfield, and then you're able to rotate, get on the half turn and drive at a defence. And Villa have got players in abundance: Rashford, Watkins, Rodgers, Ramsey, Tielemans at times. So that's a big weakness. You can see they did it twice against Manchester United. Again, you can see the white circle is where Manchester United were able to bypass that midfield and sort of tear down on a goal. So that's one major weakness for Newcastle. And, you know, there'll be a lot of areas that Villa want to hurt Newcastle, vice versa. Do Newcastle go man for man? Who knows? So what we're going to do now is we're going to predict the Villa lineup. And then what we'll do is we'll have a little bit of a blueprint with both teams on the screen at the same time. And then we'll have a look at certain areas and certain key battles. So for me, in goal for Aston Villa, Emi Martinez. Yeah, that's not in dispute, I don't think. I don't think any Villa fan would put Olsen in goal. We're going to go with Ian Maatsen. I think we're going to go Tyrone Mings because I think Pau played against PSG, and I think we'll want to manage Pau's workload, should we say. And then we'll go Konsa, and then we will go Garcia. And this battle between Livramento and Garcia will be very, very interesting. Two very, very quick young players going up ahead against each other. We'll go Kamara and we'll go Tielemans. Right, Villa fans, you know against PSG that I got this Onana in the team to perfection. Didn't play as advanced as I said, but we got the midfield free. We're going to go with Ramsey. He is key against Newcastle, absolutely crucial. We're going to go with Rashford up front. We are going to go with John McGinn. And we are going to go with Rodgers. So that is my team. That's the team that I am lining up to play against Newcastle United. Okay, so here we have both teams lined up together. So the blue is Newcastle and the red is Aston Villa. So from a Villa point of view, what are we going to want to be able to do? Well, we're going to want to be able to attack and target Trippier, I think. I think he'll be a player that we'll look to try and target. So we will have our inside player like Jacob Ramsey trying to get in behind this midfield, being very defensively sound as well. Ian Matson will be attacking down that left-hand side as well. A double pivot, so what we'll probably find that we'll have, for example, Rashford, McGinn dropping into that midfield, Rodgers, and then you'll have your right back going forward and advancing as well. And then what we'll find and what will need to happen is that why I've gone with John McGinn in this area is because if you look already, Boubacar Kamara and Yuri Tielemans, we've got Tonali, Gomes and Joelinton currently overloading our midfield too. So from a Villa point of view, 3 up against 2, with how good this 3 is a big problem. So what will have to happen is what we normally happen with the Aston Villa system is the number 10 will drop in. So you'll get your 3 in midfield, so it'll be 3v3, and then Rodgers can come across and act as number 10, and then you can have width coming down that right-hand side. You can build up and go into a back 3. Kamara can help screen that, and if your left back wants to go forward as well. So that's the area. The other area that Villa have got to try and get into and exploit is that maybe on transition or in build-up, if Yuri Tielemans is getting on the ball, then we've got to make sure we can play those line-splitting passes and break up and go through that midfield. If it's Pau Torres, then you can expect exactly the same. So he'll be playing those passes that are going to be trying to go through that Newcastle United midfield as well. Newcastle point of view, the big danger man, Isak, whether he drops deep and he's got runners going off him, that's going to be a problem that we've got to deal with. We've also got to make sure that we apply ourselves properly with this midfield and don't get overrun. Newcastle United on Villa's build-up could possibly go man for man as well. So if it's man for man, then it may look something similar to this. So you'll get players that are just completely going man for man, etc. And every Villa player is going to have a Newcastle player by him as well. So if we're playing out from the back, jump, 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 lose the ball, find space, runners, and then that could be a problem. So if Newcastle go man for man, then Villa are going to have to go a little bit longer. We can go longer to McGinn, longer to Rashford, longer to Rodgers, and that's something that we've been seeing a lot of teams doing against Aston Villa anyway, is that when teams do go man for man on us, we're getting better at being able to deal with that as well. So set pieces, Aston Villa are a massive threat on set pieces. Can we pose them big problems? Can we defend well? Dan Burn, very good at set pieces. Airily poses massive problems. But I think both teams are going to know that this is a tough game. Both teams are going to know that it's a big, big, big game with big points on offer. So looking forward to it. Looking forward to being tested. And it's something that I enjoy going to Villa Park to watch. I enjoy going to see how a game is going to develop, etc. So Villa fans, Newcastle fans, hopefully you've enjoyed my preview tactically, taking a look at both teams. Newcastle fans, if you pick up on anything and you want to talk about it, put it in the comments. But I've got massive respect for Newcastle. I think they're a really good team and we're just competing for the same thing. So from a Villa point of view, yeah, looking forward to it. I just want to say thanks to everybody that has been enjoying the content, enjoying the tactical element of things. Hopefully you are enjoying it and there's more things to come. I'm enjoying it. Obviously there's been a lot of games, so I probably can't do massive game plans for all of the games because we've played PSG, Newcastle, then we've got Man City. But when there's full game weeks, then I'll be able to put more into doing these type of shows as well. So just hopefully you've enjoyed it. If you have, subscribe. Even if you're a Newcastle fan, it's a Villa channel, but you know, I'm talking more general on football, so looking at different sides as well. So if you are liking it, make sure you hit the like button. If you could get 1,000 likes on this, that would be great. And subscribe and comment your thoughts. So thanks everyone for watching. Up the Villains.